The beams apparently are none the
Grow
worse
back.
for the wear. Yeah, they're going back with the quickness too.
I didn't know they could grow back.
I did not either. I'm not nearly as terrified as I was.
Yeah, I was like, oh, the two remaining beams can regenerate the rest of them. I'm like, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how convenient. What the hell was I worried about?
Kind of
We still had
exactly
like,
like when they said that, I was like, okay, well then what is the point of going to the tower then?
Well, because Roland made a promise to himself that he'll go to the tower.
Yeah, but
I
that's
mean,
such a stupid I don't know. Maybe this is just me being like, listen, like so many people have been killed in this quest. You really like, is it really worth it? If
Well, not to
healing the
mention the
beam
fact,
is all you needed to do, then fucking stop.
not to
that's
mention the
not
fact
what.
that now
Go ahead, Em.
he's facing pretty much like he knows he's facing almost an impossible battle at this point because it's like the Crimson King has killed himself, so he's undead, so he can't die from normal measures. And also, he needs the weapons that you are carrying in order to enter the tower. So you going there, those weapons, and he can also use those to kill you, Roland, because you're still human. like, like if this wasn't
Yeah.
a stupid task before, it's even stupider now.
Yep.
Well, he made a point to tell Ted that the beams were not his quest; they were just a means to get to the tower. So he's happy to help, but that's not why I'm here.
Yeah.
And when we met Roland, he didn't even know why he was going to the tower. He just was. He was like a
I
little
know.
like a like a worker bee or like he was trudging along, like it or not, because he said he was going to do it. God damn it, he didn't know why he was going, but he was going.
To be completely honest, I still don't know why he's going.
I was just thinking about that. What is his motivation at this point? Because so many
It
people
feels like
died, he
it's
has to.
well, yeah, maybe that. Like his curiosity is that strong, like, or is the tower pulling him that strongly? Like, why?
It can't be curiosity. Maybe it's gone. Maybe it's just cod. He can't not go to the tower. Well, that sounds like an easy cop out. I feel like Eddie would be yelling at me right now if I said that.
Trying to go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I never. I think I'm with Ali. I still don't really know why he needs to go, other than we're 6.5 books in.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of funny. It's like, this shit ain't worth it. Never mind. I'm going back to. Well, where would he go back to? Where's home?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he's basically homeless, right? There's no Gilead. There's no. Where would he go back to? Fucking Magus? Is that place even still there?
I mean, that brings up a point though. Like, what does he think is gonna happen? Like, what's the plan for afterward? Like, he's gonna live at the tower with the king forever?
He's gonna go in the room and make fun of him because he can't get inside.
Yeah, no,
He'll like
no.
make faces at him while he's out there on the balcony. Yeah, it's almost like they're like this. It just feels like a Greek god situation where like Roland and the king are brothers and they're like jealous siblings and they're like fighting with each other. And, like Zeus is up there at the top of the tower going, "You fucking kids." Like, I don't. And you're right. Like the king doesn't. You don't realize, I guess, or I didn't remember. The king kind of has nothing to do with this until like almost now. He's mentioned a little bit. Well, he's not mentioned at all for a long time, and then a little bit, and then a little bit more, and then kind of into Song of Susanna in this book. It's all. Then it's like all king all the time. No pun intended, or well, maybe pun intended. Um, and so it's almost like where I don't really care about him. I'm not invested in him. Like, where did this guy come from? What the fuck?
Well,
I feel like he's a means to an end. So okay, we got to go face him at the tower. Okay, great, and then we win, right?
well, I
Once
will say, like I was saying, this is the first time where it feels like an actual battle is coming, because it's like before it was just like there's this crazy guy who's stuck at the tower, gone mad with power, and you might have to deal with him when you get there, but we don't really know anything about him. He just seems kind of insane.
And just, I'm not saying you should, but if you want to leave your guns here, I'll watch them for you. Just saying.
Yeah, right. Like,
There's got to be another way. Go get fucking Cuthbert's slingshot. Where's that thing at?
or at the very least, yeah, go take out the king and then come back with your guns.
Well, according to Dandelo, although that hoary cripple lied in every word, um, he can't, right? That was as close as he could get, as close as he was, and I couldn't figure out how far away that was. But or did he say he got as close as he could, as close as he dared?
He said
if
he didn't as close as he dared, because he was afraid if he went any further, he wouldn't be able to turn back.
So, is that bad?
I don't know. That's why I said maybe the tower is calling Roland. Maybe he doesn't even have a choice.
Like, I think we've talked about that before. I've always seen the tower as like a force for good, but maybe it's not.
I don't know that it's necessarily good or bad. I think it's just a force.
Yeah, it's more neutral, like the things that don't interfere.
I mean, the one thing Roland keeps saying is
prime directive. Sorry.
The one thing Roland keeps saying is that he wants to go there and get to the top. So again, I don't know what will happen after that, but that's his objective.
Yeah, he was very upset when he thought the king was at the top of the tower.
Yeah.
He's almost like chilling. It's he's only halfway up. All right, cool. Dumbass couldn't even make it there.
And he's stuck outside.
Yeah, what did he do? Forget the key?
Well, he didn't. They said that in this part. Something. He doesn't, because he doesn't have the sigil. So, but he. Oh, what was it? He persuaded. He did something. I can't remember. Horatio. Oh my god, I remember reading that earlier. He was able to. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
I was gonna say he was. Let me find. I have the page number. He was able to somehow finagle his way there.
How about all the skeletons that were under the castle that thing had been eaten for who knows how long?
Well, where do they all come from? Are they, I mean, like citizens?
That's a good question. Because this is a passage from one place to another. So what if you make a wrong turn? Well, that they did have to find their way through, so there's plenty of wrong turns to make, actually.
It's true. Yeah, you're right.
So, and they were trying to. I remember, like Roland's like he didn't have the heart to tell her that he thought left and right was becoming like bendable, like time was. So he didn't think it mattered. They just had to find their way, or something like that. She was trying to remember the last time she went, and like nothing looked the same at one point. He was like, he didn't have the heart to tell her that it probably changed, something like that. I'm like, well, that would be awful. And never find a way out. So yeah, I guess.
But I don't think it did. I think she was hoping it didn't.
I don't know that it.
I don't know.
I don't know if it did or it didn't, but they definitely had a lot of bones and a lot of old bones. And I think every movie I've ever seen, when you get an old bone, it like turns to dust when you touch it. And he's like, they did not crunch, but made a damp puttering sound that was somehow worse. Okay, almost like a squishy sound. That's what I was picturing.
I also didn't know like dry bones were flammable. Like maybe I should have known that, but I don't know.
Well, right. Why should you have known that?
I don't know. Well, like I feel like the reason why I didn't think that, although never mind. I don't know what happens when.
How often have you had a chance to burn a?
Yeah,
femur?
I haven't.
I think it was the stern. I think the bone was more like acting like a torch or a candle, meaning it didn't burn like necessarily quickly. Because you put the stern like you would like with a candle or a.
You're right. Okay.
Like a damp rag when they put that on a stick and use it as a torch. Like
yeah.
So I think covering it in sterno was allowing it to burn a little longer. And then when it got down to the actual bone is when she had to put more shit on there.
Right.
Uh, one-handed while Roland was running 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's such a terrifying, like in your face scene thing right behind her, and I could see her like bobbing up and down while she's trying to do that. And didn't she drop something and then caught it again with maybe a sterno can?
Yeah, something like that. Or I wasn't even sure. It was like, yeah, I don't know.
Then she finally gets it lit, and it's exactly what she thought it was, but maybe worse. Oh
Yeah.
God, that was horrible. I was hoping it would just be like a little boy being like, "Hey, how are you? Don't go that way."
Oh, I found what I was looking for when we were talking about how did the Crimson King get to the tower. Uh, Roland said, "Undead or not, he never could have gained the top without some sigil of the Eld. Surely, if he knew so much prophecy, then he knew that." Phimalo was smiling grimly. Aye, but as Horatio held the bridge in a story told in Susanna's world, so Los, the Crimson King, now holds the tower. I don't
Is
know
that
what.
Billy Goat's Gruff? That's not Billy Goat's Gruff, right?
I don't know who's Horatio.
Horatio's like Shakespeare. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
Horatio's Shakespeare. Actually, no, I said that out loud.
so what story is
Uh, damn. What is this? Jeopardy?
it?
Othello? Hey Google, what story is Horatio from? Hamlet. Hey
Not
Google,
sure what that
shut
means,
up.
but so I guess,
Well, Hamlet.
however,
Wait, read that part again. Let me. Now I know.
as Horatio held the bridge in a story told in Susanna's world, so the Crimson King now holds the tower.
Might be
So
able to
is
help.
it like whoever holds the high ground type of?
I maybe
He found
kind of
his way
sound.
into its mouth, but cannot climb to the top.
Well, okay. I still understand how he got locked out on the balcony outside,
Yeah,
and
that was
who
cleared up for
and
me.
who did
Yeah.
that exactly?
Well, so he can't get in because he doesn't have the sigil of Eld. But I'm still not sure how he got on the outside. I guess there he's
What's
alluding
this
to.
signal?
It
The,
The
says
guns.
the
undead or
guns
not,
or the signal?
you need
Yeah.
some sigil of the Eld.
Oh, so it's nothing
Dead
specific, just
or yeah,
anything
just
that. Okay. So yeah, the gun's definitely working. Um, it just seems like a really bad idea. That's it. I mean, if he's not walking into a trap,
I feel like he
although
is.
for sure. Not it's not only a trap, there's nothing gained. Like
Yeah,
like normally you go for a reason, you know what I mean? He's like
well,
yeah.
I mean, in
I
saving all
can sing
existence,
the names. Why? It's not gonna bring him back. Why?
yeah.
he's saving all existence, right?
He already did by saving
Yeah.
the beam.
Yeah, but that was like just one of the plans. The king's still trying to rule the Todash darkness.
That's
Yeah, but if
He
the
probably
didn't.
beams
He
don't
didn't.
break, then Todash Darkness
But the
wouldn't come.
like, I
well,
don't have an
meaning
argument
there
for that.
could be a plan B.
There was definitely another plan. Like the beams was just one of the ways he was going to bring down the existence, but I don't remember how you would bring down existence if the beams are doing okay. That doesn't seem to work.
Yeah.
I wasn't it like either break the beams or gain the top of the tower. And right now he can't do either because the beams have stopped breaking and will regenerate. And he's currently locked out of the tower without a way to get in.
I do think he could find a way to get a sigil of Eld though, or get someone to bring him one.
I know. He's a goddamn like literally a hurricane when he walks past and he can't get like some kind of stupid talisman.
Meaning, so like I do think there is something to be said about like he needs to try to stop him, but I don't know what the solution is.
I mean, I guess in theory, if he doesn't, good.
Well, we keep saying that the tower is calling to Roland, and I think that's true to an extent, but with that logic, if he's trying to get someone to bring him a sigil of the Eld, hi, that's Roland.
Yeah, that's very true.
He's influencing Roland to bring him the sigil of Eld for what he thinks is some hypothetical noble cause. This is dumb.
Yeah, you don't even need the guns. Hell, you got rolling. Or
if we get to the end of this and the Crimson King has been the one manipulating Roland the entire time, I'm gonna be so mad.
yeah, Roland's gonna get there, and he's already like in the tower, like hanging out, making dinner. He's like, "Oh yeah, I found a single thing. I don't need you anymore. You can go back." Finding my place. There are a lot of references in this too. Oh, I started reading Holly today.
Good so far.
It's interesting. There's some. It's actually weird when I read that because I want to highlight stuff, but I'm like, oh wait, no, I don't have to do that. And then, but then I keep seeing like, every book I read, I see Dark Tower references everywhere. So I almost wanted to highlight that stuff. There was a couple, and I don't remember what they were now. Yeah, it's cool. I like Holly. She's like super OCD. Yeah, she's like Monk. I think I said that. And she's no good at. Like she has her own detective agency. We gotta watch The Outsider. It's Holly came from that.
Oh.
And but she's no good at people skills. So like, people are upset when they come to see her because somebody's missing or somebody got killed. It's like the first part I'm reading, like somebody's crying and she's like so uncomfortable with the person crying in front of her. She can't stand herself. She wants to run out of the room screaming because she doesn't know how to like act when somebody's crying in front of her. Yeah, it happens all the time because people come to her with problems. What's that kind of thing? I forget what my point was. I think Dark Tower references were everywhere. In that one too. There was something that I was like, "Oh, come on, why'd you do that again?" And I think it was something from It. And I think it's like you said, Amber. He just writes so much it comes up, and he doesn't realize he's doing it. I think it's like it's not. I don't think he did it on purpose. It's just like having a loon crying over the lake. It's just the way it goes. He's not like, I'll do that, and then they'll think of It. And it's like, no, that's just it's like wear a parka when it's cold, or chambray work shirt, possibly blue when you're going out.
Mention JFK assassination at least 5 times.
Did that already.
I know. I was like, again, of course, again. I think we have one in every podcast that we do.
I know. I think every section of at least this book has had some JFK stuff in it. I was like, I saw it this time. I was like, oh, come on. Like, all right, we get it. Clearly, you're getting ready to write a book about this shit.
I wonder if also it was on his mind more because, like, he faced his own death and he was like, that was his hero, apparently, who almost died, or who did die. Excuse me.
Yeah, very famously. I don't know anyone else that got the top of the head blown off on live TV. That was before the 7-second delay. It's we know how he feels. Comes up. I think at this point he was probably about done with the tower, or had at least started writing 11/22/63 at least initially. Because he said he had to do so much research for that. He did a couple of years of research, I think, before he even started writing that, because it's historical fiction. So he was probably thinking about it or researching it or something at this point. Or he just really likes JFK because he brings it up everything we read.
I think it's both because, like, he's mentioned a million times, it was a watershed moment for him.
Hmm. It's almost fitting that we started with that book. It almost kind of makes more sense the further we move along.
I'm kind of glad we did too, because I don't know if I would care at this point.
You'd be like, JF who?
Right. Although I guess Allie,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read that one yet.
I have not.
Oh, there's a
I know you
podcast
guys
about it.
mentioned some stuff about it though.
You should check it out. I'll send you the link for the podcast.
Maybe if we do end up taking like a little bit of a break after the tower, maybe I'll try and bust it out then.
Yeah, I like that story. I don't think Amber's a big fan, but I like it. It's a fun. It's like
It's classic Stephen King, I'll give it that, but it's not. There's nothing horror in it. Like
but it's just sufficiently weird enough at points for you to go, "Whoa, what's going on here?" Like the yellow card man.
I also am like so much. There's like time travel math again, and I hate that. Like,
You can't you can't overthink time travel math because you'll find holes if you start doing it. It'll always break down. But yeah, I like that book. It's like
not a bad book, and if you love history, then I think you'll like it because that's the other thing. It's just so much like, I don't know. I don't even know if
there's parts where he's stalking Oswald.
Yeah.
And he's interacting with people that were in real life interacting with Oswald at the time. So I think that's what she's saying. You don't know how much of this actually happened, and it doesn't really matter, really. But
because he's like making up like weeks of Oswald's everyday life and his relationship with his wife and like the parents and stuff like that, and like it is kind of cool, but it's like what do they?
I think that's all like historical
fiction. Yeah, there we go.
I mean, it's fascinating in that he probably did so much research and read so much on Oswald to get a basic picture, like a baseline of what his life was probably like, and then he just made the rest up. Like, I wish I was that good. Oh, okay. So they were poor. Sometimes he beat her. I think maybe she left him a couple times, so they argued a lot. They had a screaming baby. He was kind of a piece of shit, couldn't hold a job. All right, I got it.
And I mean, it felt much more like a detective book, if anything, kind of like because it was a lot of investigating and like looking and wiretapping and researching and being undercover.
Oh, it was a detective book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would have been a shorter book if you just go back and kill him. Don't worry about whether he did it or not. Just kill him and let's see if he did it.
Well, right. That's the other thing. Like, no spoilers, but it's a lot of repetition. Like, you got to do this event 1,000 times.
Yeah. The day that changed my life. It's a good. So it's like classic Stephen King transported back in time to the 1950s, and he goes and finds a small town there, and then we do Stephen King things. Anyway, we're way off track on that. So yeah, they run out of the mountain or whatever, and now it gets cold. Susanna's getting a monster, I don't know, cold sore pimple thing. I guess that's significant because that's the only. I guess without the cold sore, she would have laughed herself to death, just like Roland. Because he's all like, "Beg your forgiveness, gunslinger." Like, no, wait a minute. She didn't like figure it out either. She would have been sitting there right with you, laughing herself to death with her face bleeding on the floor if she hadn't smacked herself in the. And was that Deus Ex Machina?
Well, she did mention that, like, it was kind of a weird mention where she was like, I've never laughed so hard I've smacked myself in the face, except for once when it was like, I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was like a bad feeling. And like, that was her hint. But
yeah, that something was wrong.
But that was also, but not quite, because it was right before she found the note, or it was like she was all discovering it at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt really convenient that she smacked herself in the face, and then like it was almost like, God damn it, Eric's calling me. I mean, somebody's calling me. It's about Marianne's laptop. Um, fuck, what was I just saying? God.
Rather convenient that she slapped herself.
Oh, the fucking asshole just kicked my headphones off.
What?
Apparently, my headphones were connected to my phone as well as my tablet, and I didn't realize it. So every time I get a phone call on the what do you call it, anchor, if when the phone call ends, my headphones disconnect from the app. And I don't know how to get the headphones back on there while I'm recording. You know what I mean? So I'm not even gonna try. Because it likes to randomly just end by itself for no reason. So I'm not gonna give it a reason. I have to make sure. Short answer is I have to make sure I'm only connected to. I have all these fancy headphones, and they like to connect to like 3 of my devices at once. So I have to make sure it's only one. Anyway, where the hell were we? I think we were somewhere in 1963.
Talking about Susanna.
Oh yeah, her cold sore thing. Yeah, she didn't figure it out. I gotta say, she just got lucky, I guess. But that's what I was saying. When Roland, like, when her face starts bleeding, like, he stops laughing immediately, and he's concerned. And there's not even. I feel like, how did he let himself get back in? Like, he got out of the spell he was under when that happened, and then she goes in the bathroom, and then he like fell right back under it. I felt like I just seems like once he broke the connection, he wouldn't have went right back into it like he did.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that was
he would have
weird.
seen it for what it was once he stopped laughing, I guess is the way to say it.
I do think the like a laughter aspect, is very disarming. Like nobody expects laughter to be the weapon.
Yeah. Or maybe too, like, because Dandelo doesn't have to focus on getting like both of them under his spell, he can really focus in and hone in on Roland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
don't
what I
know.
was thinking too, that it's like not by Roland's choice.
Yeah.
So, back yonder as you look is Fedek, beyond Fedek's thunderclap, beyond thunderclap, the callus, and the forest that marks the border between Midworld and World. And then Lud, river crossing, western sea, and the great Mohaine Desert. I'm like, well, we just went all the way back to the beginning. All right. It's kind of, they haven't actually gone that far when you put it that way. A couple towns over from beginning to end. Why did it take you so long to get to the damn tower? Hell, the bug guy got there. He's been there for a long time. How did he get there? I think we said that already, but you don't just wander. So what did he say? He's from like Nebraska, or was that just a lie?
Again, if he's like Pennywise, he's ancient, so who knows?
Oh yeah, time's weird over here. He could be ancient and from America in 1962 at the same time. Well, I forgot what I was going to say again. Like Roland's asking her, they got like a couple more days. We haven't really talked about the cold a lot, but like that cold really I hated that. It's like the one time we were actually, I think maybe the first time significantly, I can think we were kind of traveling with Susanna from her perspective.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point.
it was just uncomfortable the entire time. Yeah, it's just another reason I don't like her, because the one time we hang out with her, it was just like nerve-wracking.
And it's funny because I don't know if like reading her descriptions and her thoughts, I don't know if I started forming those after reading that or if I already felt that way, because I'm like that I feel that same way when you're in that just like bone chilling cold. Like even the part where she's like, when they get closer to the end of where they met Dandelion and stuff, where she was like, is this cold worse than the day that I lost Eddie? She's like, yes, it is. Like your physical needs will outweigh your grief every time.
What my first thought was, right? I'm pretty sure it was yours too.
Oh, Mavlov? Is that his name?
Maslow, yeah.
Maslov, yeah.
Maslow's hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. Grief doesn't matter when you can't stay warm. It's just the way it goes. So it's horrible to think that you would have traded that, or not that you would trade, like that the cold is worse than the day Eddie died, but in that moment it is, because nothing else matters. If you're, what is it? Physical needs aren't met, then your emotional needs can't even be thought about.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I wasn't surprised by that at all.
I'm not surprised, but it's so fascinating.
It is. And it's something you don't really think about. Like on the surface, you're okay, well, so they're a little cold. Big fucking deal. We'll try go do that for a couple of weeks. Where you don't have a blanket at night and you can't light a fire, and it's not, what did she say? It's not 32 degrees, but sometimes it's 34, 35. Like, not cold enough to kill you, but man, cold enough to, not sleep very well. That's for goddamn sure. Wasn't there one point where they were walking at night because it was too cold to try to sleep or something?
Yeah, at first I didn't get that, and I was like, oh, because you can like burn, like use energy and try to stay warm instead of just sitting there.
And freezing to death, possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought like the morning was the coldest time of day too. Took me a while to realize, like 4 or 5 o'clock is the hottest time of day, and like 8 in the morning is like one of the coldest when the sun first comes up. So that would, yeah. So you sleep in like late afternoon, I guess, would be the best way to do it. And I remember, like right before they started this, he's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be cold, but we'll make fucking furs and shit if we need them. Not a big deal." I was like, "Yeah, well, how do you feel about that now?"
I know. I remember what I mentioned that. I was like, I don't want to give it away, but these last words.
I think we tried to talk about that, but yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, famous last words, motherfucker. I mean, you gonna make it? Well, guess what? You didn't. She nodded, not bothering to consider. Oh, when some folk. Oh, she's talking about Kennedy. No, that's why I highlighted it. He was the gunslinger. I keep saying that shit. Kennedy was the last gunslinger. Shut up. Like they did used to say that in, when he was president, they used to call him that. They called it Camelot, and he was the last gunslinger. Yeah, but okay, I don't care. You could have told me that, or you didn't have to tell me that.
Yeah.
As many times as you have, every fucking chapter, just about.
Yeah, like we've heard that at least 5 times in this series.
And you probably know more about Kennedy from this than you do from anything else.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, but again, I don't know how much of it is true.
Well, me neither. For that point, not the little details. I know that he did get shot, and there was Oswald was in the book depository.
See, like, there's a lot of detail in this in 11/22/63 about the book depository, and so every time I hear about that, I'm like, I have this image in my mind from Oswald being in there, and I'm like, but that can't be real. Like,
that probably was true, most of that, because he did have like a sniper's nest set up in there and all that. Yeah, it's whatever. It almost doesn't matter, but yeah. But it
is.
Can be like, I'm an Oswald expert, and let me tell you what. You'd be like, no, that's not what it looked like. It was facing this way, and the boxes were back here. And I'd be like, how the fuck did you know?
I've been in my mind.
Yeah, right. I did read Stephen King last night. I'm not an expert, but I read Stephen King last night. All right. That is the end of the podcast. Everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.